My name is Colleen, and this is my kitchen. I've struggled with my weight my entire life. After trying every diet in the book without any success, I came to the realization that diets don't work. I started my journey at a size 26W, weighing just over 300 pounds. In almost a year and a half, I've lost over 120 pounds, and I am a size 14. No W. What's my secret? Eating healthy and moving more. Now I'm here to show you how you can cook healthy food without compromising on taste and lose weight just like I have. Because if I can do it, you can too.
Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. So tonight we are making another soup. I have a really delicious creamy carrot ginger soup for you, and we're going to make it without using any cream. So it's going to be healthy and good for you, but full of wonderful flavor. First thing I want to do is go ahead and turn my pan on to medium, and we're going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. And we're going to let that heat up while we chop up our onion here. I just have one regular onion. I like to get the sweet onions. Those go especially good in this dish. And this is something that once it's cooked, we're actually going to puree it. So no need to chop this super small or fine or anything like that. We can just do a rough cut. Once I have my onion in there, we're going to go ahead and cook that until it's transparent and almost starting to caramelize. So it takes about roughly 7 to 10 minutes. I also want to, at this point, start layering in my flavor. So I'm going to take just a pinch of coarse sea salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon, put it in there with my onions, and give that a good stir to coat it in that olive oil. So we're going to let that cook for right about 7 to 10 minutes. While that's cooking, let's go ahead and prepare our carrots. I have here 2 pounds of carrots that I have peeled. Now I've had a few people ask me, do you use a particular kind of carrot? If I can find like a sweet mantis carrot, then that's the best because it has just this extra kind of sweet flavor. But otherwise, it doesn't really make a difference. I do recommend that you use organic carrots for this simply because they have a lot more flavor than your non-organic carrots. So I have 2 pounds of organic carrots. I've peeled them, and same thing, I'm going to trim off the ends on these and then just give them a rough chop because, again, these don't have to be finely chopped because we're going to be pureeing this once it's done cooking on the stovetop. It's getting a little warm in here. I have to take my coat off. Okay, our onions are perfect. They're nice and transparent, just starting to get a little bit brown. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add all of these carrots that we've chopped up. Again, I'm using 2 pounds. They're getting away from me there. Okay. And what I want to do is go ahead and give those a good stir, get them nice and coated with that oil. And I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit to about a medium-low. And I'm just going to partially cover it. So leave a little bit of a gap there. And I want to cook it for about 15 minutes. And then we'll come back and check on it. My carrots have been cooking partially covered for 15 minutes now. So now I'm going to go ahead and add 1/2 cup of a dry white wine. I'm using a Pinot Gris simply because that's what I already have open. However, a Chardonnay goes really, really well in this. I'm going to use 1/2 cup and just give that a good stir. I can smell it coming off of the So now I'm going to put this cover back on, again partially covered, so I'm leaving just a crack. And I'm going to let that cook for another 15 minutes until the carrots are fork tender. And then I have here a piece of ginger that I peeled, a fresh ginger root, and I'm just going to chop this up. You need about a tablespoon of chopped ginger. So these have been cooking for that last 15 minutes that we put them in for, and I want to check them because I want to make sure that they're nice and fork tender. See how that fork just slides right through it? And the reason for that is we need them to be tender when we puree it, otherwise it's going to be too chunky. The soup will be too chunky. So I'm just using my blender here, and first of all I'm going to take all of that ginger that I chopped up, about 1 tablespoon again of fresh ginger. And I'm going to leave my pan on because I'm going to put this back in my pan once it's pureed. I like to use my skimmer. This makes it a little bit easier to get all of this in here. Once I have that in there, I have here 4 cups of the chicken broth, and this is a homemade chicken broth, so it doesn't have any salt added to it. And I'm not going to pour it all in there. I'm just going to pour a little bit, just enough to let it get really liquidy. And then I'm just going to puree it. So once I have that pureed up, I like to take my rubber spatula so I can get all the little bits of goodness out of there. And I'm just going to return it to the pan along with the rest of that chicken broth that I didn't add to the blender. And again, get every little bit out of there that I possibly can. And then I'm also going to add 1 cup of skim milk or fat-free milk. And this is just going to add to that creamy texture. Okay. So once we have that in there, I'm just going to give it a good stir. And here is where you would want to add the rest of your salt and pepper to taste. So that just needs a little bit more salt. Taste the ginger in there. And a good crack of freshly ground pepper. Now I'm going to let this come back up to heat a little bit. About 10 minutes is all it needs. And while that cooks, I'm going to show you what I serve it with. I really love this carrot soup with bread with a little warm camembert cheese on it. If you've never had camembert cheese, it's a French cheese. It's made from a raw cow's milk, and it's very, very creamy in flavor, has a slightly pungent odor. It goes really, really well with this soup, and I love it because it comes in this round, in this little box. And so if you are making this for your family, all you have to do is unwrap the cheese, put it back in the box, and you can actually warm it up in its own box. You don't have to do anything to it. For me, this particular soup will serve 6 people, but really I'm only feeding myself and my son tonight. So I'm only going to take a quarter of this round for the two of us. And I just like to wrap it in a little bit of foil, loosely, not too tightly, and then put it in the oven just to warm it up. So once you have this warmed, I'm using a French batard. You can use a baguette, any kind of bread that you want. I love the French batard. It's a very light and sort of airy bread. And so I just take this warmed camembert cheese and just spread it right on the top of there. And by the way, I am not including the cheese and the bread and the nutritional breakdown for this soup when I post the recipe, simply because it's optional. You don't have to eat it with this. This is just a serving suggestion. However, one bowl of soup, it's only about 150 calories for one bowl of soup. And that's about a cup and a half serving. So so you certainly have enough calories left over, at least I do in my day, to have a little piece of bread with some yummy cheese on it. And the cheese is good for you because it has protein in it, which you're getting a little bit of that from the chicken broth in the soup, but other than that, this is a vegetarian meal. So you could substitute a vegetable broth for the chicken broth and have a full-on vegetarian meal. So to serve this, again, it's about a cup and a half serving per person, and one pot is going to feed 6 people. This does freeze really well, so I like to put it in individual containers and freeze it up for my lunches. So then what I like to do is just take a piece of bread and just top my soup just like that. And there's my finished product. Serve it with a side salad, and I have a complete dinner. So I'm going to go sit down and enjoy my meal. I hope that you give this a try, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. And I'll see you next time in my kitchen.